Hello guys, this is Olga Monson. Welcome to my pre-construction series where we talk about all things pre-construction. We're the beautiful Una residences in Brickell today, and I want to discuss the 4 stages of pre-construction: reservation, contract, groundbreaking, and the completion. Reservation is the earliest stage in the pre-construction project, where the building is still in the planning stages. It only exists as a vision on the blueprints and renderings. The developer usually at this stage requires the buyer to sign a reservation agreement, which is a non-binding agreement. The buyer is required to put a small deposit down, usually equal to about 10%. Either party can cancel this agreement without any penalty to either party, and the deposit is fully refundable. So advantages of buying at this phase is, of course, the fact that you're getting the best pricing, the best choice of inventory. Their agreements are non-binding, so should you change your mind, you can cancel anytime without penalty. And the deposits are low and they're fully refundable. There are certain disadvantages, there's only a few. Of course, there's certain uncertainty with a building. Sometimes these buildings don't get built, and you do have to wait a long time until the building is finally completed. Sometimes the developers will skip the reservation phase completely, go straight to contract, which was the case with Una. We were in contracts from day one, but in majority of cases in Miami, the buildings will start with the reservation phase. Number 2, the contract phase. Once a developer receives the approval from the local and the state government, they will deliver the purchase agreement and contract docs to the existing buyers. Usually this happens 3 to 6 months after the reservation phase. At this point, the buyer has 15 days there to review the contract, which we talked about in my previous video. 15 days is your rescission period, where you have a right as a buyer to review and terminate the contract without any penalty. After that, the contract becomes binding. At the contract stage, usually the developer requires the buyer to put additional deposit, 10 to 15%, and this deposit is no longer refundable. So the advantages of buying in a contract stage is, of course, you have amazing pricing, you have still great inventory of units available, all the details for the buildings are finalized, and there's of course more certainty that the building is going to be built. The disadvantage, on the other hand, is that your deposits are larger and they're not refundable at this point, and the contracts, they're binding contracts after the 15-day rescission period. Number 3, the construction phase. So the construction phase usually starts with the groundbreaking, which means the developer starts work on the foundation of the building. Modern luxury high rises take anywhere between 2.5 to 4 years to be completed. Usually at this point, at the groundbreaking, the developer will require additional deposit of at least 10%. More deposits are going to be due at certain milestones of construction. For example, the midpoint for the building at Una is 25th floor, or the top off of the building. 50% deposit is a typical requirement before closing, but I will have to come up with 50%. The advantages of buying in the construction stage is of course, there's you're waiting less than 3 years for the building to be completed, 3 years or less. There's of course a certainty that the building is going to be completed. You're still paying below market value. That's the whole point of buying pre-construction. But disadvantage is that your deposits at this point are much larger, and they're of course not refundable, and you might have less inventory at this stage, because usually the pre-sales for the building last from a year to 2 years before the developer breaks ground. So the final phase is going to be completion. So once the developer receives the certificate of occupancy for the building, which allows the buyers to start occupying the building, the developer will send out 30-day notices to the buyers, preparing them for closing. Closing is the time when the buyer and the seller exchanges the money and the buyer becomes official owner of the unit. So the advantage of buying units at this phase, if there are any units available, is of course the fact that you can walk the final product, you can see what you're buying, immediate closing. At this point, you can close, if it's a cash closing, in a little as 3 days. You also have certain flexibility with a payment plan. At this point, you can of course obtain financing, and you can negotiate the first down payment with the developer. And And if there is any inventory, or maybe in whatever market, if it's a slow market, there's a lot of inventory, the developer may offer some incentives for the final product. The disadvantages of buying in this stage, of course, you're going to be paying close to market prices for these units, and there's a very limited, if any, inventory available. I hope you enjoyed this quick video about 4 phases of pre-construction, and you enjoy my pre-construction series. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Olga Monson, and we're Beautiful Owner Residences as always. I hope you have a great day.